family, loved ones, and friends, thank you for joining Johnny Sanders, another Truth in Life talk today. Today, we're going to talk about subject matter that came from my book, and I was reading um, different subject matters and points, and was like, what would be something that would be beneficial for the listeners today, this week on our topic? And as I was reading the stories, um, I remembered this topic and where it came from, and I thought it would be a smooth transition to share from going from a tech talk to still with business, but more personal. And this topic today is going to be lies told that destroy marriages. Why that subject? Over the years of counseling, ministry, being in the business profession, I've been able to hear different stories, encounter different stories, and I've been married for 18 years. My wife and I, she's a wonderful, wonderful woman. Thank God that He brought her to me. She has been nothing but a blessing to me, and we try to stay on a positive spectrum. Okay, if something happens, like when I got sick, we try to keep it positive. God is going to bring me out of this. For whatever reason, this is another challenge for us as a marital couple, and as adversity has happened, it made us stronger. It made us better. We depend on God, and we depend on each other to help each other through the challenging time. So I'm not one to try to browbeat people, or browbeat or put someone down and make them feel less than. That's never me. I I've always been a person to be more positive, and the glass half full versus glass half empty type of mentality. So I want to just share some tips, and from a positive perspective of helping you with your relationship, whether you're single, whether you're married, um, post marriage, if you've been divorced. But this is to help you mentally, emotionally, and spiritually uh, have a better outlook and understanding with relationships. Okay. And again, hit the like button, hit the subscribe, so that way we can continuously grow this channel and help others wherever they may be. Okay. I want this to go around the world and just help as many people as I possibly can. All right. So we'll get started. In in life, you will be faced with a lot of adversity. Some that you did not foresee, definitely stuff you did not welcome, and there are challenges that come up. How do you handle them? Getting better knowledge and to equip you to handle the challenges is what we all want and need to do. My wife and I, we were um, doing some car work, not car work, but I was showing her where the jack was to change a tire, even though we have AAA. I want to show her just in case, for knowledge sake. So I was going through where the car jack was, the tire, lifting the back panel up, where to put the jack. And so I went through all of that just to help educate my wife, and so she can have the knowledge. When she sees someone on the side of the road, she knows, oh, they have a flat tire. They're going to have to go through this these steps if they don't have someone to come and pick it up for them. So every now and then, just fun exercises. Cooking. We both share cooking tips. We both love to cook. So she'll share certain things with me. I'll share certain things with her. And we keep working together to make things better for us, right? So, what does that do? What that does is foster a healthy relationship between us. The intention, the effort, the giving, the um, the necessary steps to keep growing as a couple, right? Um, we do this for one, we love each other. Two, um, to avoid any type of negative outcome that we know that the enemy is going to throw at us one day, right? So we we build on keeping our communication strong, okay? Keeping our communication strong by continuously being honest and sharing openly with one another where we are, how we feel about certain things, and if there are things that we need to talk further about and go into a deeper discussion, we may have to just level set certain expectations. Um, when she's working, don't expect her to come home, cook a five-course meal, um, and you're available. Me, I can go on and cook or make things better or easier for her. So when she comes home, most of the time when I cook a meal, I know she loves salads. Sometimes I'll start the salad, but I'll leave the rest of the salad preparation for her because there's certain things that she like depending on how she's feeling that day. She may want strawberries, she may want pineapples, she may want some other type of pecan nuts in the salad, but it changes. She may want blueberries. So I'll start it, get it to a good point and spot and place, and then she'll come home. It's something easy versus cooking a whole full meal. I've already done the majority of the work for that particular day. So that comes from communication and listening, me knowing what she likes and practicing um, with her active listening to make sure that I understand what she's wanting, what she's needing, what she's looking for, so we can be on the same page. I love being on the same page. Okay. So, in that, you're going to have sometimes um, what the counselor's term is conflict resolution. So having a healthy disagreement or a healthy discussion, we don't have arguments or big blowout discussions, or we definitely don't fight. That's a no no. But we don't have bad discussions is or disagreements because we're both have our own individuality. There's certain things that I like it cooler. Sometimes she doesn't like it that cold in the house, right? um, she likes to cover up when we're watching a movie with a blanket and snuggling up, and sometimes the blanket gets a little warm for me. But that's okay. That's having an understanding and resolving certain uh, skills of learning and listening and resolving something as simple as just changing the air. Okay. We also have something called emotional support, right? Emotional intelligence, where um, we have a good understanding of when emotions come into play. If something bad happens um, outside of the house, how do we deal with it? You know, getting our emotions under subjection, in check, not blaming and going off on one another, but supporting one another. and getting an understanding of when something bad happens. Sometimes we may need to nurture the environment, nurture her, well, or she may need to nurture me in a certain way that, like, when I went through my health scare, she was extremely loving and nurturing and helpful for me, in ways that I've never seen her do it, nor did I ask her to do it. It was just a willing, loving response from her that I was like, oh my goodness, this is wonderful. She made everything, all things better, even though I was in pain, even though some of the medical experience was traumatizing. Um, it was great to hear her, see her, have her with me as we went through that, right? So, again, it was positive. It wasn't negative, even though something negative happened. Our interaction with one another remained positive, right? How do we get this way sometimes? Well, for Marcine and I, we have quality time that we spend together. We have date nights, okay, on the regular. When I got sick, I shared with Marcine. I was like, "Hey, I miss our date night times, where we just we'll go to dinner, or we'll go to a dinner and a movie, or we'll get dinner and have a movie at the house, but it's just for us, right? So that helps us to stay engaged, keep afresh, keep having fun with one another, enjoying one another's time, where it strengthens our bond, right? So we do take the time to do that. Um, and at that particular time, I was definitely missing it. And it was making me angry because I felt like the devil was trying to steal our time together and disrupt our time together, our happy times together, right? So to get there over time, what is developed is personal growth in spending that quality time together. So we will have our individual goals that we will strive to try to get on a day-to-day, weekly, monthly, yearly basis. Just depending on the goals, how large it is, you stretch it out. But we work very well together as partners and moving together, as we grow, um, each other. That's personal growth that has allowed us to know when it's time to have that quality time. We recognize it. If I'm busy going and doing a lot, um, she will nudge me and just say something sweet, um, it's quality time, or hey, what are you doing tonight? Let's watch a movie. She'll just just bust out. Let's watch a movie, or let's go to the movies. She'll do something or say something. Let's to break the ongoing monotony, if you will. And I need that from time to time because sometimes I can get in a rabbit hole and be working on work projects, um, writing, and not forget about it, but sometimes I forget the time because the time sometimes goes by, and next thing you know, it's late, and I have like, whoa, babe, I'm sorry. Let me stop and make sure that I'm paying you the proper attention, right? And then when you're in a relationship, you want to have a good self-awareness, self-care for yourself. You want to make sure that you're mentally and physically healthy. Um, Taking a walk, depending on your age, take a run, get on a bike, take a swim, do something, with fitness. Um, and these are all things that we do currently. So we take the time to just make sure that we are. in a good, healthy place, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. We take the time to go hang out with our girls or hang out with the fellas and have quality time away. I've talked before about how I enjoy golfing, right? I love getting together with the guys and go golfing. Um, I still love to play basketball, but I don't play it as much. Um, and that's something that's good to go and shoot some hoops in the gym. There's an outside gym down the street in the park. I've gone there maybe twice because it's so hot here in Dallas, Texas. Outside gyms are not good for me. Okay, but they're still available. So you go there and try to just deal with the heat, the sweat. Um, it's short lived, even in the evenings. So find something that you can do outside of uh, playing basketball outside, right? So one of the things that I try to get from a counseling perspective to help with relationships, marriage. I try to encourage people to have pre-marital counseling and post-marital counseling, right? Um, and counseling therapy, period, just to have yourself in a good mental healthy place. You want to do that so before marriage, you get an awareness of who you are, who they are, what are some of the expectations. It's good to lay those things out on the table ahead of time so that way you will have an understanding and knowledge that, oh, this is what they want from me. Ah, this is what you want. Can you apply? Can you do it? Are you willing to do it? And there's been counseling sessions where the other person was not willing to do it. They didn't think past the marriage, the honeymoon trip to that degree of understanding what marriage is going to entail, right? Um, Sometimes I've seen couples who, a friend of mine got married young, had a wonderful wife. I met her and I knew he was just being a wild boy. All right. They got divorced and he thought life was going to be great. He went out there. That grass was not green. It was not good. It was getting browner. And what he learned very quickly that, man, I had it so good when I was with her. And certain things went down the hill for him because there's a certain blessing that you get and you gain by having your spouse. But anyways, he eventually, I talked to him for years, and I say years, at least 2 to 3 years, and he finally something clicked, something finally happened to where he was like, you know what, she's the best thing for me, and she's the mother of my child. Let me go back to her, see if she would even want me. And she was such a sweet, wonderful lady, very humbled. Um, and she listened to him, she forgave him, and they reconciled their issues and they got remarried again, which was the best thing for both of them. Um, and that it worked out for them, but he had a better knowledge and understanding of what he was doing wrong, what he wanted, what his ideal of marriage was going to be. Because again, he started out being a wild boy. and he thought he would be okay, continuing his wildness, and it doesn't go that way. It doesn't work that way. That's not fair to her. Um, it's not fair to him either because he was not able to get the benefits or reaping the benefits of really and truly what a wonderful wife is and would do for him. So, anyways, the good thing is, after a time, heartache and pain and hard knocks, he finally woke up and came to his senses and recognized that he needed God. He needed someone that was going to be looking after his back for real, you know, not this fake phony stuff, not this fly by night, just a moment in time type of thing, because that's one of the lies the enemy gives to you and tells you. So, um, in that, what I recommended is continual counseling, not by me. I'm too close. I'm your friend. I'm your boy. I gave you help. I gave you tips, um, and it paid off. It worked. But for them to go to counseling together from someone else is what I suggested. That they will basically learn to commit to one another once again. They will have long-term commitment, having patience, learning patience with one another, because she had to have patience with him. She had to learn um, and understand. She never stopped loving him, and he had his ways had to be changed, and eventually it did. But it took someone doing the work. It took both of them doing the work from both of their. It was easier for her because she never stopped loving him, and she kind of knew how he was from the beginning. But there was a certain line and limit that I don't care who you are, you just can't cross. And after a period of time, there was a straw that broke the back, and she was like, "Okay, you go do what you're gonna do. I'm, I'm gonna go over here." And she let him do what she wanted to do, that he wanted to do. So he eventually got a better understanding of learning what the relationship is and how to treat her as the beautiful queen, as the beautiful woman in his life that God gave him, right? And he learned to appreciate who she is and how beautiful she was on the inside and the outside. Okay. Now, with that, what I saw that they were able to do and learn from the counseling is they put up some new parameters, new boundaries, um, and got support for each other, especially him. He needed external support and built a good network system with friends and family. So when he had questions about certain things, he would get a Q&A session with somebody, a friend of his, or one of the counselors, and ask what should he do, you know, encouragement on how should he move forward with certain things. And so he was able to get that, and having those sit down one-on-one sessions with the counselor allowed him to implement certain strategies for himself first, and to help with the marriage as a couple, right? How certain things were going to work um, in the marriage so they can build again a stronger relationship, stronger communication, stronger loving and giving in the marriage, so that when negative things came up, because again, certain things that he did that perpetuated negative things coming up, he had to face that. He had friends that he would go out drinking with. He couldn't drink no more. Not like that. Now, if he had a social drink, that was something that he did, but because of the regiment, the counselor said, nope, no more drinking. And that was something that he had to basically come to terms with. Now, so I, from that couple in work, I would continuously talk to different people, and there was this young man that was dating this young lady, and he came up to me. He's like, Johnny, man, um, I'm going to propose. I'm like, oh, that's great. So what you planning to do? And so he's like, okay, well, he talked about the, the engagement party, engagement preparation, and the celebratory of just getting ready for saying, will you marry me? And hopefully she says I do, right? So he planned this, and which was a great thing, and he was all excited about it, and um, they met on this particular day, and it happened just the way he wanted, and so he's like, okay, so he's so happy and so proud. So now they're gonna schedule and plan a wedding date, and all of those wonderful things that come into play. And so I was like, okay, um, are you going to get premarital counseling? And he's like, yo, bro, do I need that? So I explained to him some of the steps and things that he would need to do um, to get ready for this life of marriage, right? Um, and so we went through and did some premarital talks and discussion on lunch break, and just kind of sharing with him what I've experienced, what would be beneficial, what would be helpful to him. And he said, well, one of the things he was like, well, Johnny, I want to get married, I want to have some children. Um, I'm in love with her, and I just want to feel great, and we do things well together. Um, and I'm like, okay, so what's the plan? Did you plan any of this out? Only in words as much as he has shared with me as what I just shared with you. And it's like, what's the plan? You just can't take this wonderful lady, have her to be your wife, and you have no plan. Or the plan is very limited to as far as you can see or throw a rock. And that's not healthy. That's not good. Because again, there are going to be obstacles, there's going to be controversy, there's going to be different things that come up to you. You don't want to be faced with, ah, later down the road, she made me mad. I don't like her. I want a divorce. I don't want to live in a prison like this. And it shouldn't be a prison. Why did it become a prison? You know, too often, especially these days, divorce is too common. Um, I believe with good, adequate conversations and pre premarital counseling and postmarital counseling, divorce could be avoided, but it's going to take work. And when I say it takes work, I hear so many people say, "Oh, marriage is hard. It's hard." It's hard when you make it hard. It doesn't have to be hard. Yes, marriage takes work. like any and everything else, raising kids take work. Working a job takes work. Writing a book takes work. Making a painting takes work. You have to put some effort into building and grooming and having a cohesiveness that things are working together with you and that individual. It takes work. And too many times, our culture, they want that microwave love. They want that microwave, make this happen today. Um, if it doesn't happen in this way, in this manner, then it must not going to work for me. And that's totally not true. Um, and some of it is selfish, where the bottom line of truth is, and I'm not trying to disrespect nobody or their marriage, but sometimes where things get in the way and they sever is because of selfishness. You want what you want, she want what she wants, and then there's no give. Well, I'm gonna show you. I can easily just write a divorce decree. Boom, boom. Now, I'm not saying there's no out in a marriage. If you're getting abused, get out. If there's something bad, negative happen, especially after you've gotten counseling from somebody else, and this joker is still gonna be bad for you for whatever reason, they didn't change, you write and get that divorce as quickly as possible. And that's one of the things that I want to share with regarding having a healthy relationship and not believing certain lies in a marriage. So, with my new friend, work partner, lunch partner, um, on another particular day, I took the time to say, okay, he's asking me questions. He genuinely wants help. He's afraid to go and talk to a counselor that he doesn't know. And so I said, well, let me just share with him from my perspective, biblically speaking, from a counselor's perspective, of what um, I believe some lies that the enemy is going to tell him that he should not pay attention to and get help or further questionnaires from, right? So, lie number one, my happiness is the most important thing about my marriage. No, it's not. Not your happiness. Because if you're not happy today and your spouse doesn't necessarily do something that makes you incline or feel happy, then you're going to use that to justify a breakup. You're going to use that to say, you didn't do what I wanted you to do that makes me happy. So God just wants me to be happy. That is such a bunch of bull crap. According to God's word, a spouse's individual happiness is not the purpose of the marriage. I gave him a scripture, Colossians chapter 3, verse 17, and where it says, whatever you do in word or in deed, do for the glory of God, while all parts of creation to glorify God. Mankind was made in God's very image. Through marriage, husbands and wives are to reflect his character, God's character, right? And have children, if you can, who will reflect his character all the way to the end of time. So every marriage knows unhappiness. Like I said, when I went through my sickness, uh, it was an unhealthy issue that happened with me physically. Was I happy? Heck no, not at all. Was my wife happy? No. Was my family happy about it? No. It was something that happened that we had to deal with. It was a conflict um, that happened that we had to deal with. So you're going to have to deal with certain difficulties, ladies and gentlemen. That doesn't mean that you're not happy or you won't be happy. There's a certain joyfulness that comes with marriage. And when certain elements of bad situations, negative situation happens, refocus your thinking, refocus your vision, refocus your thoughts, and remember God's purpose for you in this marriage, God's purpose in you loving one another. You know, He's going to get the glory. Remember that. Instead of individual happiness, focus on God's getting the glory. And God will get glory through your marriage. And believe and trust that. So, so lie number two that the devil says, and he will use people to say it to you, right? If I don't love my spouse any longer, I should get a divorce. And I just went through the story with my friend who got a divorce, but eventually they came back and reconciled and got remarried. Why does this happen? It happens because there's been some type of loss in the marriage, distrust, mistrust, disrespect somewhere along the marriage. And there's no reconciliation at that point that either one sought. And everybody knows when you get married, you can also get divorced, right? That's always there. The flip side is with God in a godly, healthy relationship, you don't think about trying to get out. You think about how can I make it better? How can I build? Um, that's the human side of thinking. You know what? They don't love me anymore. They're lost, which is not true. There's always um, a love there. If they loved you from the beginning, for whatever reason, there's been a sidetrack. I didn't say side chick. I said side track that happens that make things go to the left or go sour. Um, in 1 Corinthians 13, the Bible said that love is kind, love is patient, it never fails. It even cares for its enemies. Love does. But you have to grow to get to that point. Um, you have to continuously grow, build, and keep good sparks in the relationship that where love doesn't die, love doesn't grow stale, love doesn't just seem like something that's so far away. When the last time you told your spouse, your great friend, your relationship partner, when the last time did have you told them you love them? Right? If it's been a while, take the time, take the courage, be brave, be strong, and just simply say, I love you. It may be hard for you because of that pride, that it may be that guilt, it may be shame, whatever it is, you have to reconcile that within yourself just to be able to say that to that individual. You never know what they may need. You never know once they hear those words and you mean it, it's sincere, it's genuine, what that will do for them. Okay? So just continuously try to build and strengthen your loving relationship. Number three, your lies that the enemy will tell you is my private immorality does not affect my marriage. So it does. Let me say it does. A lot of people think that, and yes, I'm going to go there with pornography. I'm not hurting anybody. I'm in the privacy of my home. I can watch what I want to watch. I can do what I want to do. I even had someone tell me, use the scripture, the bed is undefiled when you're married. And you can bring anything in there. That's a lie from the pit of hell. And these were church folk. Okay? Don't fall for that lie because there's a oneness that happens with marriage between you and your spouse, not spouses. Don't let your marriage be hijacked by sexual immorality. Okay? You don't want to be in bed or be with someone that has a bunch of someones. We're not in those days anymore where you have X amount of wives and plus amount of concubines. We're not in those days. This is the 21st century. The laws has changed. Um, you don't want to join yourself with foolishness, foolishness with immorality, unbeguiled sexual partners, physical activities, computers, phones, whatever technology that you want to use, magazines, they still sell them. You want to be able to just flee immorality. You have to, for your sake, to strengthen yourselves. And you need to be able to put the Word of God, positive aspirations, positive words from books, and people that will help you with living a stronger, healthy, clear headed mentality of life. You have to do that's part of doing the work in marriage. Oh, it's easier to just go and just start sleeping around with folk if they'll let you, or if you have to pay for it. That part is easy. But putting in the work to have a strong mind, a healthy mentality, a healthy relationship, that's where it's work and putting in the work. And sometimes it's more work for some than others. But if you want it, you have to put in the good, positive work, right? Lie number four, I would say, the enemy tells you my sin or your spouse's sin is so bad that I need to get a divorce. And as I've shared with you before about my friend, he got a divorce because of his sin, his sins, plural. Um, it doesn't matter which sin. I'm not getting into that. That's between him and God and his spouse. But he allowed sin to come in and disrupted his truth and walk with his life. And sometimes because of the sin that he did, the enemy used that to let him know you're a failure. You are a failure. You know, we're taught in the Bible to forgive one another, just as God has forgiven us. But you ask, what or how should I get past this without getting a divorce? confessions of the soul, confessions of your mouth, getting counseling, and getting with the right people to help build you back up, to let you know that what you have done, there's life after this, there's life past this, especially for those that have been spiritually just engulfed with the Bible to the point where, now this is just my humble opinion, where it's unhealthy. And my mom and my dad used to always tell me, too much of anything is not a good thing. Even the Bible. You need to have a good biblical lifestyle balance. You can't be all biblical, all Bible, and you're so spiritually knowledgeable that you're not any earthly good. You have to work with people on earth, in earth, to help you walk this thing out, even spiritually. So that's some of the things that I shared with my guy, and to help him with understanding his sin or sins, whatever those were, that these are things that he can ask and pray for forgiveness and work. You got to put the work in, because it's not just, okay, I'm sorry, accept me back, let's just keep rocking and rolling. You have to put the work in, and it has to be believable for yourself, then your spouse, and if there's multiple external people, to rebuild that trust. Trust has always been earned, not just given. And that's with relationships, that's with money, that's with conversations, that's with private information. Okay? Trust has to be earned. Okay. This last thing, and I have more, but I'll save them for the next topic, for the next time. Um, Lie number 5, I would say, um, I've heard, and I've heard people say this, and this is when they get frustrated, and this is when the enemy really starts messing with their mind. I married the wrong person. Based on what? Based on what? Did you get premarital counseling in the marriage, or then you're basing on they're not doing what you want them to do? Because again, people, selfishness and living single, you have a selfish, it's all about me mentality. It's about me and what I want. And I need to get this person to conform to do what I want them to do. Ah, you're messing up again. Doggone it, you're messing up again. You're not for me. You're not the right person for me because you won't do it the way I want you to do it. We're all individuals. That's not the way God designed us. So that's another lie. You can work this out by just, again, communicating and explaining and expressing truly what you like, what makes you happy for you. You like the toothpaste squeezed from the bottom versus the middle. Communicate that. Share that. I've heard people fuss and argue over some of the smallest and simplest things. And that is one of them. Putting the trash can out, washing the dishes, vacuuming. And after a period of time, that gets old, that gets worn on you, and you get tired of just saying the same thing over and over and over. So, one of the things that I try to communicate with my fellow brothers and sisters, a wrong start in marriage does not justify another wrong step in marriage. You don't, just the way that's the way things started doesn't mean that's the way you continuously step. Take a different step, take a different change and dance. Step to the left, step to the right, but take another step in a positive direction that will help work things out for you. To those who love God, to those who are called according to his purpose, will remember that I am supposed to be putting my best foot forward for him first, for you second. He tells us this. God encourages, again, how we are to receive his word, how we're supposed to move with his word, and keep these certain things in mind. By doing this, God will give us exactly what we need in our lives each and every day. His word says so. Now, you may not get what you're asking for on that specific day, but he hears you each and every day, and he decides when he's going to give you exactly what you need. And sometimes it's immediate, and sometimes it may take a minute. God's timing is perfect. His timing is perfect. And his will for us is good. It's acceptable. And his perfect timing will bless you in more ways than you could ever think or do for yourselves. Okay? So I'm going to stop there. Thank you for joining Truth and Life. I'm Johnnie Sanders. You guys have been great. I'll see you next time. And remember, be good. Let's dare to be great together. See you next time.